his views and his pro-Palestine bias, he said, but he's telling us the truth. He said, like, I get it. I'm like, you're allowed to be in favor of Palestine. You're allowed to even be in favor of Hamas. I just don't like that. So
people don't care what you like.
Be honest about it. So I appreciate these leftists in New York cheering for Hamas. I appreciate that they're telling me they feel that way.
I mean, how many of them are they really cheering for Hamas?
Shout out to Dave DeCamp for going on Tim Cash show and even starting off by making that simple point.
New York, literally. Almost every rally they're cheering for Hamas.
I know that there's, again, we talked about this before the show. I know people involved in these rallies and stuff. And
explicitly cheering for Hamas.
Yeah.
So what does cheering for Hamas constitute? Is it by saying free Palestine? Is that called cheering for Hamas? These people, that word Hamas, I really do hate that word now. These people say that word like it's a category. It's just a category to them.
But I know there's a lot. I think that might just be being amplified because I know, again, a lot of Jewish anti-war activists.
Absolutely. And this means
organizing these things, leading.
And that means the people organizing things are handing microphones to people to cheer on Hamas.
What do you think, like, when you see like the leader of Hamas talking about like killing all the Jews?
So, okay, guys, welcome back to the channel. All right, let's make some sense of what's going on here in this conversation. Number one, what we need to understand is October 7th was a terrible terroristic attack. We condemn it. We disavow it. It was violence. You cannot go in and end a bunch of civilians. Point blank, period. I respect the fact that we are American. We have our own problems here, and we've been isolated to a lot of the conflicts that have gone on around the world. The only problem with that is we have also funded a lot of the conflicts that's going on around the world. You hear this discussion about Hamas bad, Hamas bad. American money has gone to Hamas before. Israeli money has gone to Hamas before. Tim Pool is throwing me off because he knows this stuff. He's been around the world. He's seen it. So I get confused as to how he comes to his beliefs, but this man's also making certain connections, and I understand he doesn't want to go somewhere with it. I really wish he would just have Nick Fuentes on the show. I do, because Nick Fuentes doesn't get emotional. He just sticks to the facts, and that's it. Dave DeCamp is saying there's Jewish organizers of these rallies. Yes, there was a rally here in Philadelphia, and some people that I really respect that I listen to were saying that Antifa might have been paid off to do these rallies, and these aren't real people, that there's a bunch of actors. Look at the crowds at these rallies. So you think that everybody's like, I understand George Soros, believe me, I understand he has a lot of money and everything. It's really just paid actors? No, it's Jewish Voice for Peace. That's who conducted the rally in Philadelphia, at least, and there is a group of Jewish people who don't want what's going on in Israel, period. And they have their reasons, and we're not going to sugarcoat this conversation. A lot of people I respect, they don't want to hear from me anymore about this. I don't care. I've been here in 2020, so it's okay. I'll be back here again. The Lord calls upon us sometimes to just tell the truth, right? And this is a conversation too that's going to be very complicated, and I'll be breaking it down.
Leader of Hamas, this spokesman that was on recently,
but
saying
that's not
that
even
they're
the
going to
point.
keep fighting. I mean, yeah, that's not the point, because
the point I'm making is this: at almost all of these rallies in New York, like Times Square specifically, I'm not talking about like Grand Central where it's people sitting down. You have a woman get up and say, "Our freedom fighters paraglided into Israel and fired 5,000. Okay, that's Hamas. And then you had one guy said, "Our freedom fighters kidnapped a whole bunch of hipsters. I'm sure they're doing great."
That one, yeah.
But there's so many of these.
I don't think that there's so many. Tim has to hold on to something because he's been told what to think. And it is what it is, okay? It is what it is. Because if you cannot look, if you can see the destruction that's going on somewhere and you're holding on to 1, 2, 3 kooks that are saying something crazy, you've lost the plot. Okay, because 3 people don't answer for the voices of millions. And that's how much is around the globe. It's been millions. Again, America's always late to the party. We are always late to the party. But let me help Tim understand why why Palestinians too, by the way. And this is why it's not about taking a side, but what about the Palestinian? So they're supposed to love the carpet bombing. I mean, I'm just like, so they're supposed to love it, but let me help Tim understand a little something. Maybe because I have a better person who's a pro-Hamas terrorist who's really going to give him the answers he wants to hear.
The Israelis have been hit for 6 months with these little rockets, which didn't kill anybody. It was outrageous, cruel, and stupid. And they triggered a blitzkrieg against the Palestinians in Gaza, which in my judgment is an Israeli concentration camp where 1.5 million people are locked up, cannot come out or go in. They've been controlling food, electricity, fuel, and the innocent people in Gaza are the ones suffering.
So let's stop right here. Now, this is a news report from somewhere 2009, and they were having the same discussion. 2009, where it was I was out with my friends, going to the movies and going dancing or whatever. Okay, so I get it. We don't know. We didn't know all of these discussions. This is Pat Buchanan, and what he just said about Israel has been told to me to be a conspiracy theory. No, this is Pat Buchanan. Okay. The man ran for president at one point. All right. Okay. You don't have to like him. You don't have to believe in him. But the fact is, he knows what he's talking about. Okay. He didn't have a problem saying it, and he wasn't afraid of being called a label. We need to decouple this feeling of talking about Israel in a negative manner is anti.
Concentration camp, Pat, doesn't that diminish the significance of the real concentration camps?
No, I'm not talking about a death camp. I'm talking about what the British had in concentration camps in South Africa, and what the Spanish had in Cuba, and what others have had, where they bring all these people, lock them in there, and treat them with great cruelty and a humanitarian disaster, despite what Zippy Livni says.
Of course, this was 2009. And so he's talking about like some rocket strikes that happened that didn't hurt anybody in Israel, and they went back and started bombing Gaza. We've been here before. We just didn't know. Okay. Obviously, today, Pat Buchanan would say that things are different. You know, people did die, and Israel has to take care of Hamas. But there are international laws in place on how to do that during a time of war. I wouldn't expect that Benjamin Netanyahu, after everything that happened, would come and say, okay, I'm going to do this in a peaceful and calm manner. No, but this is where America was supposed to step in, since we were so hyped to send our fighter jets over there. American establishment was supposed to say, maybe get a couple rocks off because that's what you need to do. But quickly, let's reel this in. Cannot just get the innocent, because after World War II, we wrote laws against that.
That makes you wonder why the Israelis had a hand in creating Hamas to split Fatah. Now, we're not going to get into.
So I've heard this said plenty. This is Pat Buchanan. This is during a time where we weren't paying attention to Twitter this hard, and they created Hamas. You know
what happened in Afghanistan.
Exactly. All right, let's go. All right, he says stop the missile firing and work for peace with Israel, and you get your own state. Why don't they have a state on the West Bank then? They have done that, and the Israelis continue to steal their land. They build outposts and settlements.
That's why there's some issues that are unresolved.
Well, let me mention. Hold it. Let me talk here a second. And they have, of course, they have not agreed to have the Palestinians have their own capital in Jerusalem. The point is, why haven't they given back the Golan Heights? It's been peace on the Golan Heights since 1973.
And I want you to listen to the recipe of creating people for Hamas.
Hamas's ideology.
So let me tell you. I tell you how you create people for Hamas. You kill 675 people, you wound and injure 3,000. What do you think the brothers and sisters, those 5 little girls that died, what are they going to be when they grow up? What are these people under this, treated like this?
You know.
Look, why do you think the Palestinians...
You know, and I know that Hamas's doctrine, I can talk about it right here,
I know their
is to
doctrine.
hide in schools, in mosques, to hide among the civilians and use civilians for shields. And you know it is a war crime to use civilians for shields. You should be criticizing those war crimes on the part of Hamas.
Look, Hamas, any war crimes, I criticize their attacks for those rockets, stupid and cruel. But you sit here and tell me that the Israeli people or the Israeli nation have treated the Palestinian people with any kind of justice. Those towns hit by the rockets are former Palestinian towns.
Well,
Ashkelon, Ashdod.
Well, speaking of justice, the issue we're getting in.
All right. And then the interview ends. So you hear what he says. Okay. So listen, right. We call out the war crimes. Pat Buchanan is right. We do call out the war crimes. Israel just hit a convoy of ambulances. Okay. They admit to doing it. They said, because we thought a Hamas guy was in one of the really okay. People can go ahead and root this on if they want. The problem is, again, America on the geopolitical stage We look like we're backing it up. All right. We're already losing. No, the problem is that innocent people are being slaughtered in a rate that I don't think I've ever seen in my lifetime. Okay. And people bring up World War II to me. I wasn't here during World War II. And that wasn't right either. And that's why there were laws created after that to make sure that these type of things never happened again. I just want to clarify this for you. When you see the world standing up, when you see London, Berlin, all these other places having these huge rallies, there was one in Washington, D.C. This is not just, oh, look at the left. They just hate white people and Jews. No, they know the stories, okay? They know the history, and they decided to walk about it, okay? That's what it is, right? Yes, you have bad actors in any kind of protest. I've been to a Rage Against War protest before, and there were bad actors there, all right? So that's not new. If you don't care about Gaza, I'm not telling you that you're supposed to. But if you are American and you're listening to this, because of our establishment are on a bad place on the geopolitical stage, okay? The superpowers are rising, and we are sinking, and it's not good. I'll see you guys at the next video. Bye.